It's really nice here today, like no jacket, wonderful. But we're about to get a serious cold front, like below zero temperatures. And if I want to continue to have running water, which I do, I'm going to have to do some prep to keep everything flowing. And so I thought I'd show you kind of our water system right now. I don't have a well. uh, Maybe someday I'll do a well, but for right now, it's about $20,000 to have a well put in here because they run over 300 feet deep and we're on a granite upwelling, so they have to drill through the rock. It's very expensive. And our neighbor up the road has a well already, and he said I could come get water whenever I wanted to. So for right now, I'm hauling water, and then I also catch water off the hovel roof. And my plan for this spring is to actually build a filter so that I can use that water. But for now, I just use it for like cob and stuff like that. So um, the first thing to get water that I have to do is I have this tank right here. So it's a 65-gallon tank. And then it fits just perfectly in the little Suzuki Samurai Pedro. So I take Pedro with the tank up the road, fill it, and then I have two tanks like this. There's this one, and then there's the one that's actually attached to the house right there. And then that 375-gallon tank is something that I just got, and it will actually become the tank. And I think that I'm going to bury it like 12 to 14 inches below grade and run the water, the tubing through there so that it doesn't have to. Sorry about the shaking. Tack is trying to eat the thing. So anyway, so the water line will actually run underground and then up into the hovel from below. So there'll be less that I have to worry about freezing. I use a pump and two hoses to move the water from either the tank in Pedro to the tank up there or the tank below to the tank up there. And I usually try to have an extra tank whenever I can. So since it's going to be so cold, I'm going to take the water that's in the lower tank and fill the upper tank because the more water that's in the tank, the more resistant it is to freezing. There's heat tape and insulation on the line, but if it freezes too much, then I won't be able to, it won't, it'll freeze on the inside of the tank. So I do have like a livestock tank heater, a low voltage one that I'm going to plug in and put in. So that's my task for today. No. So even if I do get a well, I think chances are I will continue to use a tank, and there are reasons for that. First of all, I like to really be aware of how much water I'm using because even if you have a well, that water is coming from somewhere. Like you're drawing it from somewhere. So it's just a good idea to know how much water you're using. And then the other reason for a tank is yes, we have electricity, and that means I'm not completely off grid, but the electric goes out here quite often. And since we're at the end of the line, that's just, part of it. Sometimes it doesn't come back on for a couple days. So my goal is even though I have electricity, to be able to function like fairly well without it. So having a tank means that I just need a little 12-volt pump to run the water instead of, a 300-foot well requires like some major electricity because you have to have a big pump to get the water that high. So this is actually this one is not a 12-volt pump. This is a 110 because it pulls water further than the 12-volt pump does. We tried a 12-volt pump here and it just wasn't all that great. So, and take you, here's the other tank. Like I said, I like to try to have, 2 tanks, or just because doing this today means I don't have to deal with frozen hoses or anything. So, and chances are a few days of -0 temperatures means that the water in this tank will freeze and I won't be able to get it out without putting the tank heater in. So, and just plug this pump in. Takes a minute because the pump's been drained so it won't freeze. There it goes. And now it's just a question of filling that tank, or filling this tank from that tank. Okay, so now the tank is full and I've taken off the hose, so I need to put in the tank heater. I don't really need this except for when it stays below freezing for several days, like both day and night. So this is just basically, it's for livestock tanks. It's a low voltage one, so it doesn't get very warm, which means it's not great at melting ice that's already there. It will do it, but it takes a long time. So you're better off paying attention and putting it in before there's an issue. So this is a 65-gallon tank, the same as the one I take to fill Pedro with, which is nice. And I really like these lids because they keep stuff out of it. So I'm going to pop this in. Of course, with the cord, I can't close it completely again, but it's okay. So in we go. There's a small amount of ice in there, but okay. So, and then I can't use all of them, but I can put a couple tight so that it kind of at least holds it shut. And I use this for everything: bathing, drinking, cooking. Before I drink it, I do run it through a Berkey filter, but never had any issues. The tank, since it's white and it does let some light through, it does need to be cleaned every few months because it gets algae in it. It's not dangerous, it's just gross looking, and it kind of clogs any filters that you have, so it's better to get rid of it. But other than that, I think I'm set. I don't need to plug this in till tonight. I have plenty of wood, so I'm ready for the cold, I think. And let's hope that this is the last bit of it. So what do you think? Do you think that you could live like this? Do you see anything that I'm missing that I should absolutely have done? I mean, I unhooked everything in the bathroom, so I won't have hot water until this cold spell's over, because everything's disconnected and there's a valve in the hovel that shuts all the water to the outside off, except for, this one. I don't know. Do you think that you could do this as far as, when you live like this, you kind of give up the ability to just like pretend it's not winter. Like, you know, I know that when I lived in a regular house, you go from your climate controlled house to your climate controlled car to maybe another climate controlled building where you work and then back again, and you're barely in the cold. And, here I have an outdoor bathroom. So I have to kind of look at what's going on head on. And I love it, but that's the trade-off. I get to spend my days here. I get to watch baby goats. I get to have freedom, but I've given up some comfort. So, what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. I love to read your guys' comments, and I try to answer every single one. So, we will see you next time.